Spotify loses another show. The latest from Podnews.net with Measurement by Magellan AI. Spotify has lost another exclusive podcast, Where Should We Begin, with Esther Perel, which became a Spotify original produced by Gimlet in 2019. The show has found a new home at Vox Media. It'll become a weekly, always-on show from Q3. Vox laid off 7% of its staff in a cost-cutting move in January. Has the New Zealand Podcast Summit found one of the country's first ever podcasters? From Wellington, Jonathan Mosen is one of the speakers for the event. He started podcasting in 2004, which is impressive enough, but he's also totally blind. His current show, Mosen at Large, covers living life from a blindness perspective. The summit is on May the 13th in Auckland. I'm also speaking, and tickets are available now. Edison Research has published the Podcast Consumer 2023, a set of data from the Infinite Dial looking at US listeners to podcasting and perfect for your slide deck. It was presented by Megan Lazovic and Wondery's General Manager Janine Wright at Podcast Movement. Shreya Sharma is to write a podcast newsletter. It's called Shreya's Audio Affairs. We've subscribed. You should probably as well. iHeartMedia announced an influencer summit for creators and brands to discuss the future of podcast advertising. It's planned for April the 26th in New York. Transistor has rolled out a full Patreon integration which displays your patrons on your website or show notes. Blueberry is adding 2 new podcast analysis tools, Estimated Audience and Episode Comparison. Visi Studio is one of the first tools to produce compatible files for Spotify Video, which has specific file requirements. And Hindenburg Pro 2 has been released, adding a method of mastering audio in video tracks. You import a video file, view the video as you make the audio edits, and then export out the lossless video file with a new remastered audio. Want a list of New Zealand-based and New Zealand-themed podcast series and episodes? You'll be wanting the New Zealand Podcast Directory. We'll link to that today. And City University of London is putting on a free panel discussion on the evening of March the 29th, looking at the huge growth in the industry and the wide range of careers now available in this rapidly growing sector. Speakers include Acast and Mags Creative. In People News, Rob Greenlee has left Podbean and is starting his own podcast network consultancy business called Spoken Life Media. In a statement today, he says, "For me to be a trusted partner, I need to be seen as unbiased in my view on distribution and monetization tools." And Matt Raz has joined Sony Music Entertainment as an executive producer. He'll serve as the lead producer on the network's flagship title, High Low with Emrata. He'll continue to offer freelance development, production and consulting services. And in podcast news, 6 Degrees of Cats is launched today from Amanda B., a finalist of the first Spotify Sound Up Accelerator for women and non-binary podcasts. It unites my lifelong love of cats with my pattern detection skills, my passion for storytelling, and my curiosity for all things art, culture and history, she said. The bi-monthly series is hosted on Podbean. Daring to Leap is new from entrepreneur and coach Laurie Phillip, promising a mix of career inspiration, self-development, practical advice, and stories of women taking big leaps in their careers. On the run-up to Easter, you might guess what The Atlantic's Holy Week is about, but it's not that. It's a new narrative podcast released as a box set today, telling the story of the immediate aftermath of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination on April the 4th, 1968, and how those 7 days diverted the course of a social revolution forever. And Attacking Jussie, the Ossendero brothers' story, is new from Lionsgate Sound and is their first companion podcast. It's to accompany a new 5-part series called Jussie Smollett, Anatomy of a Hoax, which premiered yesterday on Fox Nation. This podcast is sponsored by Measurement by Magellan AI. This thing is on podcast advertising attribution and delivery verification from the leaders in podcast ad data. You can find out more at magellan.ai/measurement. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.